Sure, Jan. So Donald Trump has suddenly changed his tune on the release of the Epstein files again after campaigning on their release, only to refuse to release them once he was in office. Now it seems that he wants their release now that the release is kind of imminent. So he's like, oh, I'm for it. Cenk, we've got more from that clip, but after an explosive weekend, which we will discuss more in the next story, are we buying Trump's reasoning here?
Of course not. So my favorite part is the MAGA guys who have found an excuse for Donald Trump's flip-flop. That excuse is hilarious. I can't wait to share it with you guys. Let's get all the facts first.
Okay, so before we go on, let's hear the rest of what Trump had to say in that clip.
We think it's bad to talk about it because it gets away from the subject of how well the Republicans are doing. We have the greatest economy. We have the largest investment ever made in our country's history. We have all of these great things happen. We have very little inflation, whereas he had record-setting, the biggest inflation in history. All of these things are good. And when you talk about the Epstein hoax, what happens is you're not talking about how well we've done. And that's the whole purpose behind them. They want to waste people's time, and some of the dumber Republicans like that. Mr. President, on that subject, it's mostly Democrats.
So Trump was asked why just a few days ago his team was encouraging some Republicans who had signed the discharge petition for the release of the files to no longer support the release. And among Republicans, the Trump administration targeted were Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert, both of whom have long supported the files release. Both Boebert and Mace were taken into the Situation Room to discuss the release of the files. And the Situation Room, that is where only the most classified conversations typically take place. There are no cameras in there, no recording devices in there. But when asked about the use of the Situation Room for these discussions, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, "Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns?" That's what she told reporters at a press briefing. So Boebert later told reporters that she was not pressured to take her name off of the discharge petition in the meeting. And Nancy Mace had been quote unquote playing phone tag with the president for a day, which just sounds like she was ducking him. So currently no one has removed their name from the discharge petition. So now that Adelita Grijalva has finally been sworn into the House, the vote can go forward and the files will presumably be released soon afterward, whether or not Trump wants that to happen. So he wrote on Truth Social Sunday, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetuated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party, including our recent victory on the Democrat shutdown. The post was much longer than that, but you get the gist of it. He kind of echoed the same sentiments from the clip that we showed earlier, but he did double down on that today while continuing to make the ridiculous claim that only Democrats are connected to Epstein. Take a look.
You urged House Republicans to vote in favor of this Epstein release bill they're going to vote on tomorrow. I just want to be super clear on your position. Do you want to see that pass the Senate? Would you sign that bill if it gets to your desk?
I do want to. Here's what I want. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. I'm all for it. We've already given 50,000 pages. You do know that. But no matter what we give, it's never enough. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. All I want for people to recognize the great job that I've done.
That's all he wants. He's not really asking for a whole lot. The vote on the release of the files is set to take place tomorrow. So I guess we'll find out what happens at that point. He's trying to act as though now he's always been for the release of these files. He said Epstein was only friends with Democrats. It doesn't even make any sense. We have pictures, we've seen videos of them hanging out together. He's all over those emails that were dropped. And as we've teased, we're gonna get into some of those emails and how close Trump himself seems to be with some Democrats. But before I get too far ahead of myself, Cenk, what do you make of this particular talking point that he's putting forth, that all of the Epstein stuff is just a distraction from all the great work that he's been doing. Because in a way, you could say the Epstein stuff is a distraction from all the things that the Trump administration is doing, but it's not good things that they're doing.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too. All right, so I want to break down all of his excuses because they're hilarious. It's only the Democrats on the Epstein list, he says. That's why all the people blocking their release in Congress are Republicans. You know why? Because the Republicans, they have golden hearts. These Republican politicians, they're like, I don't want my Democratic friends besmirched in any way by these Epstein files. None of us are on it, and neither is President Trump or anyone we care about or our donors. We're just trying to look out for them. But the Democrats who are all voting to release the files, they're like, we know we're in the files, but we just want you to know too. Who thinks that's plausible? Like really, like you've got comprehension issues if you think that that's possible, right? And then you look at what he's doing to the Republicans in Congress. He told them to hold strong and do not release it under any circumstance. Now he's saying, nah, forget it, release it. Then what'd you make them do all those votes where they totally screwed up their careers by voting to protect Epstein predators? God, he's the worst. If you trust him as a politician, you're an idiot. He's definitely gonna hang you out to dry. He's definitely gonna betray you. Let alone, I mean, those are the people who were voting. He put so much pressure on them. And then now that leads to the other excuse. He pulls Boebert into the Situation Room. That means it's a national security matter. He has the Attorney General and the FBI director talk to her before this vote, which is unprecedented. And he does it like, oh, you better not vote to release these files. Now he says, oh no, we're just being more transparent. How could it be more transparent? You're in the Situation Room so that no one else can find out what was said. That's kind of part of the point of the Situation Room. I mean, it's hilarious. It's the exact opposite of what is true, right? And after pressuring her that vociferously to not release it, now he says, oh yeah, you know what? I just thought maybe everybody's getting distracted from my glory. We should all be talking about my glory. And that's the only reason I was telling her to vote no. But wait, if people are getting distracted by the Epstein files, wouldn't you have told her to just vote yes and release them and then move on so that we could return to talking about your glory? None of it makes any sense. But my favorite yes is the Trump loyalist online today. They're like, no, Trump said not to release them so that later he could change his mind, seemed to be changing his mind, but it was four-dimensional chess. While you were playing checkers, he was seeming like a jackass on purpose and like a pervert predator, and if not a predator himself, a protector of all other pervert predators, so that you could fall into his trap, and then then he could turn around and release the files and show that only Democrats are on them. I mean, okay, if you believe that, there's nothing I can say to you to get you to believe anything that's attached to this planet, right? So, okay, but anyone with like 2 bits of sense realizes Trump is turning around because he lost. He lost the vote. There was 4 Republicans, that's all they needed. With Grijalva coming in, there's nothing he can do to block it. Plus, we know about Bubba already, so the damage has been done. So he's like, oh yeah, I meant release it. I meant release it. That's what happened. Anyone else who thinks otherwise is hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, is Occam's razor a joke to you people? The people who are still defending all of this and all of this chess that's playing and happening right now. It really doesn't need to be this difficult, right? There was a child sex ring happening within our country and around the world. People deserve to know about it. The victims deserve to have some kind of justice. That's it. Just release the files. We know you have it. Why won't you just let us see it? And all of the excuses that they give us, it's so insulting to everyone's intelligence. The people who are still defending Trump's actions is like, why are we doing so much? Even if he is playing chess, like, why is he playing chess? Nobody else wants to play this game with him. He's just the only one playing chess with himself, which is kind of sad, in and of itself. But then also, he lost. If he's playing chess, he is losing that game. Everyone is ready, is on the same page. We're ready to go. We're ready to I don't have a good chess analogy. King him. We're ready to king him.
That's checkers, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, okay, we fell into his trap. Great, release all the Epstein files. Okay, we're happy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
And look, there are partisans, no question, Yaz, on both sides, right? And some of the partisans want to protect the bad guy Democrats. Certainly, some of the partisans want to protect Trump and bad guy Republicans, right? Me, and for people who are real and authentic, we don't care. Who cares about protecting corrupt pedophile Democrats? Like, if you want to do that, there's something a little off with you. If you think that your partisan instincts are more important than protecting young girls, no, that's totally unacceptable. So there is no trap here. The only possibility here is what they've done in every other case. So of course, people should be worried about this, which is Trump goes, yeah, now we released them. But we took out all the things that incriminate Republicans, Trump, and anyone on our side. Oh, look at that. The only list we found is that of Democrats. The problem with that isn't, oh, they're gonna get the Democrats. The problem is, if they do that, they would be purposely protecting Republican predators. And if you're MAGA and you're comfortable with that, again, I think you kind of missed the point.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna see these files sooner or later, whether Trump wants it or not. And I would assume in the full form, if there have been redacted bits from Republicans, from the Trump administration, these files, it's on the internet. People have access to them. And from what we've been seeing is people are willing to release them to the public. So I have to believe that even if they have tampered with these files in some way, that it's just inevitable. Like just you lost.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.